Natalie is going to be chatting with former president of the Public Service Association, Mrs. Jennifer Batiste Primus. Natalie?
Yes. Yes?
Go ahead. No, waste your time, man. You will say you don't have enough time with Jennifer.
Oh, good morning, Auntie Jenny. Good morning to you, my love. How are you this morning?
Hi, good morning, Natalie, and good morning to your co-host. Great. It's a great morning. I love the rain.
Yes, yes. And we haven't seen you in a long time. How have you been? I mean, you just stepped away from Minister of Labor and just like rode off into the sunset.
Yes, well, you know, Natalie, the Bible speaks about there's a season for everything.
Yes.
My season, and I have earned it. I have worked very hard for over 40 years. Very long hours, 10 to 15 hours days. And I deserve the right to relax and just enjoy life and try to grow closer to God.
Yeah. Well, I had to pull you out of retirement just a little bit to look back at one of your former seasons as president of the PSA, because here we are. Watson Duke has been president since 2008, I think it is. So that's what, 12 years?
No,
13?
November 2009. That's when I retired.
Okay, 2009. Thanks for the correction. And here we are 12 years later, and we're getting all kinds of information from the audited finances of the PSA that is suggesting that a lot is amiss. And I think why it was important for me is that the PDP that he leads campaigned on the THA and, you know, how it handled its finances, you know, under the People's National Movement. And here we are. He's president. Another election is coming up. He's going to be asking for the mandate of the people. But all is not well with the PSA, according to this audited finance. So let's just look at, I think what we need to start with is just when it comes on to the spending of PSA money, what does the Constitution of the PSA states?
Now, Natalie, this is a situation that has caused me and continue to cause me great amount of pain. From the perspective that when I assumed the presidency of the PSA, that would have been on the 25th of November 1997, the union was on the brink of financial collapse. My team and I, the reformers team, we spent several years, Natalie, reshaping, regrowing that organization. It was not easy, Natalie. Many of us, the terms and conditions we enjoyed, we had to forgo quite a number of things. We had to spend our monies in most circumstances because the union did not have money. Natalie, it was so bad that at one point in time, TNTech came to disconnect the PSA. WASA came to disconnect the PSA, and I was able to talk to them, enter into an agreement to reduce the bills incrementally.
Yeah.
Those were very difficult days. The Conference of Delegates and the General Council of the PSA, we worked together as a team and rebuilt the organization, naturally through a lot of sacrifices. So that when I left the PSA in November 2009, when I retired, the team that I led, the reformers team, lost the election to Watson Duke team. Naturally, I handed over, well, I left, let me say I left, a perfectly run organization, a well-oiled machine, a financially sound trade union, a trade union that submitted its audited financial statements to the Ministry of Labor on time. As a matter of fact, I think it is only two other unions beside the PSA which submitted their financial statements to the Ministry of Labor on time. The PSA, the OWTU, and Bank and General Workers Trade Union, the three unions. So that when I demitted office, Watson Duke assumed a union that was well respected, that was financially strong, that followed the Constitution. Natalie, you see this document? This document is called the Constitution of the PSA. We followed this document. This document was our Bible as a team in the PSA. And therefore, it pains me to see Watson Duke took a financially viable organization with policies and procedures, with a high level of accountability to our Conference of Delegates, our General Council, and to all the other organs of the PSA. Watson Duke took that organization and destroyed it. Natalie and I have the authority to speak and comment on what is happening at the PSA because my life is tied up in the PSA. Natalie, my pension is paid from the PSA. I gave the PSA 26 hard years, sacrificial years. And therefore, I have a vested interest to ensure that the PSA operates in tandem with the Constitution. Since Watson Duke assumed the presidency of the PSA, I am aware of only one Conference of Delegates that Watson Duke has held. Natalie, this is what the Constitution of the PSA states. This is what it states, very clear, very unambiguous. There shall, this is not discretionary, there shall be an annual general conference to be held within the first quarter of the financial year. That is, the Conference of Delegates was always held on or before the end of March of each year. That is in accordance with Article 12 of the Constitution. But let me just go back to Article 11 and to share with you and your viewers and listeners what it states. The supreme authority of the association shall, not maybe, shall be vested in the conference. So the highest ruling body in the PSA is the Conference of Delegates. Yeah. And the Constitution states that there shall be an annual general conference. And you know why that is, Natalie? So that the conference can be advised, informed on what transpired over the previous years.
But according to the article, according to the article that I saw, Mrs. Primus, is that it is saying that the last time a Conference of Delegates was held was in 2012. If that is accurate,
that is outrageous. Outrageous. Natalie, the PSA is a democratic organization, and therefore, with Watson Duke not having a Conference of Delegates, therefore he has had no authority to spend the funds, the membership funds, not his own, the membership funds at will. There is no authority. The authority to spend comes from the Conference of Delegates. The Constitution also points out that in between meeting of the conference, the General Council shall run the affairs of the PSA. So that means the General Council is the Finance Committee. As a matter of fact, the Constitution states so rather vividly, that the General Council is the Finance Committee. Yeah. Now, what should take place normally? Normally, the executive would sit, they would discuss and decide this is what we want to see happening over the next year. The treasurer of the PSA sits at the level of the executive, a draft budget is developed, and that draft budget is taken to the General Council. The General Council would then massage the budget consistent with the plan for the upcoming year.
But let me ask you something though. Isn't this an indictment? Isn't this an indictment on the General Counsel and the membership of the PSA, and not so much on Watson Duke? Because the reality is that there is a constitution. There are procedures in place. There are groups in place. There's a financial committee. There's a General Counsel. There's the annual conference of delegates. If Watson Duke is able to do all of this, it has to be with somebody's blessing if nothing has been done about it.
And Natalie, you are absolutely correct. It pains me. It really pains me because the PSA was a robust organization. The General Counsel was a robust oversight mechanism. That General Counsel would sit there. We would have General Counsel starting just after 9 o'clock. And we would end around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And throughout the day, the various section representatives would ask probing questions. If the information coming before the General Counsel is inadequate, General Counsel would direct the president who chairs the General Counsel, we need to get information A or Z. And therefore, the General Counsel of the PSA, I am very, very disappointed that the General Counsel has not displayed that fortitude. It has not stood in the gap in defense of the democracy within the PSA. The General Counsel has a very grave responsibility to ensure that the Constitution of the PSA is upheld in all instances. And therefore, they cannot continue to meet and allow Watson Duke to continue to get. I mean, this thing is atrocious, atrocious. I suspect, Natalie, between 2009 when Watson Duke was elected and today, Watson Duke has not accounted to the Conference of Delegates for millions and millions and millions of the members' monies. These funds are not his personal funds, but he has behaved as though the funds are his personal funds. Natalie, let me share
but if the members,
a little bit more information
if the members are sitting, hold on, if the members are sitting and paying their dues and they don't have accountability and they keep paying their dues, I'm asking again, should we even blame Watson Duke? Because to me, Watson Duke can only do what the General Counsel and the membership of the PSA allow him to do.
You're absolutely correct again, Natalie, because, for example, let me share this with you. And you have touched a very important point in terms of the membership of the PSA. When I retired from the PSA, the membership base at that time could have been around $18,000 to $19,000, with the members paying $50 a month. My information is, and the documents that I have gotten from the PSA confirms that Watson Duke increased the membership dues from $50 to $100 without authority from the Conference of Delegates. Natalie, this is just plain craziness. So that when I looked at the financial statements, the current one for 2020 and 2021, it tells me that based on the figures that I'm seeing and with simple mathematics, it tells me that the membership of the PSA is around between 10 to 11,000. That means over that period of time, between 7 to 8,000 members would have removed their membership from the PSA. When I retired from the PSA had more than $8 million, Natalie, in hard, solid cash in the bank. Remember the fiasco you saw Watson Duke with bags of money crossing the road? I mean, this is unacceptable. In these modern times, no one goes to a bank and say, give me all my money in $100 bill. There is a paper transaction that takes place. Now, the question can easily arise if you are taking bags of money from one bank to the next. I would ask, if you got 10 bags of money from this bank, did you deposit 10 bags of money or 8 bags of money deposited or 7 bags?
We have just about a minute left. So the final question I want to ask you is, do you believe this should affect Watson Duke's bid to become a THA Chief Secretary? Because, you know, I remember, as I said when I opened, is that they campaigned against how the PNM ran the THA in terms of how it dealt with its finances at the time. So do you think this should affect his bid?
Natalie, let me take a thank you and allow me a few minutes to talk to my brothers and sisters in Tobago. My fellow Tobagonians, Watson Duke, firstly, you must know, is not a man to be trusted. Secondly, if Watson Duke could take a perfectly run organization, financially strong, disregard every single aspect of the constitution of the PSA, and I am saying it, he has bankrupted the PSA. What do you think he will do if you should put him in the THA? That is not a risk you would want to take, because as we speak now, the employees of the PSA are not sure to be paid. I and my other retirees from the PSA, our pensions are very much up in the air. You should think, Watson Duke is saying in Tobago, let me fix this. Watson Duke destroyed the PSA financially and otherwise. What do you think he's going to do in the THA? And do not allow him to fool you by putting the good and clean Farley, I can't remember his title right now.
Farley Augustine, but we have to leave it there, unfortunately. We're way over time. The producers gave me a 3-minute extra, which I really appreciated. But we want to thank you so much for sharing with us, and really hope that the PSA can get some kind of resolution, especially where the pension plan is concerned, because that's going to affect so many members. All right, we're going to toss quickly to that break. Heat.